Imagine handing over $100,000 of your retirement savings, driving home in the most beautiful car you have ever owned, and finding out 3 years later it is worth $20,000. That is not a horror story. That is what is happening to seniors right now with some of the most respected luxury badges on the road. Cars that hemorrhage value while the brands behind them quietly circle the drain. And on a fixed income, that lost money is money you will never make back. So which 10 luxury brands are the wealth traps, and which one turns your savings to dust the fastest? Make sure you subscribe, because I started this channel for one reason: to share what dealerships and car makers don't want you to hear. With your support, I can keep making these videos. Now let's get into it. Here's the trap you have to understand before we count these down, because it is aimed right at people your age. A luxury car sells you a feeling, prestige, arrival, the reward for a lifetime of hard work, the sense that you finally made it. And there is nothing wrong with wanting that. But the brands know exactly how powerful that feeling is, and some of them are coasting on it while the actual value of the car collapses underneath you. When you are still working, a big depreciation hit stings, but you recover. When you are retired, living on savings and a fixed income, losing $50,000 or $60,000 on a car is money you cannot earn back. That is the difference. The badge impresses the neighbors for a year, and then it quietly reaches into the retirement account you spent a lifetime building. Let's count down the 10 worst offenders, and the number one brand on this list is one people still think of as a symbol of success. Number 10. Infiniti. Let's start with a brand that is fading so quietly most people have not noticed it is happening. Infiniti is the luxury arm of Nissan, and Nissan itself has been fighting for its financial survival, cutting jobs and slashing costs across the board. When the parent company is struggling that badly, the luxury brand is the first thing that gets starved. Infiniti's lineup has been shrinking, its identity has blurred into just a fancier Nissan, and its resale value reflects all of it. A retiree in suburban Sarasota who bought an Infiniti because it felt like a smart, affordable step up into luxury is finding that when he goes to trade it in, the number is brutal, because nobody is confident the brand will even be a real presence in a few years. When you buy a luxury car from a company barely keeping its own lights on, you are not buying prestige. You are buying a question mark. And here is the quiet math that hurts. Resale value is really just the market voting on whether it trusts a brand to still be strong in 5 years. Every time that confidence slips, your car is worth a little less, through no fault of your own, no matter how well you cared for it. So the Infiniti owner who did everything right, who kept it clean and serviced it on schedule, still watches the trade-in number fall, because the market is not grading his car. It is grading the company behind it, and the company is not passing. Number 9. Lincoln. This one hurts, because for generations Lincoln was the American luxury car, the brand your father or grandfather aspired to, the smooth, quiet cruiser that meant you had arrived. Today it is mostly a collection of Ford models wearing a nicer grille and a bigger price tag, and its electric ambitions have been scaled back and scrambled. The problem for a buyer is simple. When a luxury brand loses its own distinct engineering and just becomes a dressed-up version of a cheaper car, the resale market figures that out fast, and the value drops accordingly. A Lincoln dealer outside of Kansas City still sells the dream of American luxury to older buyers who remember what the name used to mean. But the badge is writing checks the current lineup cannot cash, and it is the buyer, not the brand, who covers the difference when it is time to sell. Number 8. Alfa Romeo, a gorgeous, romantic, storied Italian brand and one of the riskiest bets a retiree could make with their money right now. Alfa Romeo sells only a tiny number of cars in America. Its electric plans have been delayed and reshuffled, and it has spent years fighting a reputation for troublesome reliability and electrical gremlins. Beautiful cars, genuinely, but beauty does not protect your wallet. These cars depreciate hard, because the pool of buyers willing to take on a rare, complex Italian car with a shaky support network is small, and it shrinks further every year the brand's future stays uncertain. A widow in the Phoenix area who fell in love with the styling could find herself owning something stunning to look at and nearly impossible to sell for anything close to what she paid. Prestige you cannot resell is just an expensive hobby. Number 7. Cadillac. And this is the one that should make longtime loyal owners the angriest. Cadillac spent decades as the definition of American success. The brand generations of seniors saved up for and stayed loyal to their whole lives. Now Cadillac has bet its entire future on going electric, and in the process it is walking away from the very buyers who kept it alive. It pressured its own dealers so hard that many took buyouts and closed their doors, thinning out the places you can even get one serviced. And its electric models are depreciating quickly, like most luxury electric cars are. So the loyal Cadillac buyer, often an older person who has trusted the brand for 40 years, is being pushed toward an expensive electric car that loses value fast, sold by a shrinking dealer network. A Cadillac dealer in a big Florida retirement community will tell you privately that his most loyal customers feel abandoned, and they are not wrong. Think about the cruelty of the situation for that buyer. He is 72 years old. He has bought a Cadillac every few years since he was 40. He does not want a complicated electric car. He does not want to learn a new charging routine, and he certainly does not want to lose a fortune in depreciation on it. But the brand he was loyal to his whole life has decided that what he wants no longer matters, and it is steering him toward the exact product that will cost him the most and serve him the least. Loyalty is supposed to be a two-way street. Right now, Cadillac is driving the wrong way down it. Number 6. Audi. Now we move into the German luxury brands, where the depreciation on the electric models has become genuinely shocking. Audi built its reputation on beautifully engineered, technology-packed cars, but that same complexity is a double-edged sword. Its electric models, the e-tron line, have been shedding value at an alarming rate, with some of these luxury EVs losing 60 to 70% of their value in 5 years. And the deeper problem is what happens after the warranty ends. A modern Audi, especially an electric one, is a rolling computer, and when the complicated electronics and the expensive out-of-warranty repairs start piling up on a car that is already worth a fraction of what you paid, the costs can be staggering. For a retiree, that combination, fast depreciation plus expensive complexity, is a slow financial bleed you do not want in your life. Picture the second owner of one of these, or worse, the first owner 3 years in, sitting in a service department being handed a repair estimate that costs more than the whole car is now worth on the used market. At that point, you are trapped. You cannot justify the repair, and you cannot sell it for anything, so a car that once symbolized success quietly becomes an anchor. The prestige got you in the door. The complexity and the depreciation are what keep you from ever getting your money back out. Number 5. BMW. The ultimate driving machine, and on the electric side, one of the ultimate depreciation machines. Look at the electric BMW i7, a flagship electric sedan that stickers well over $100,000. It has been retaining only around a quarter of its value after 5 years, which means an original buyer can lose more than $80,000 on a single car. $80,000 gone on one vehicle. That is not a car payment. That is a house down payment evaporating in a driveway. And BMW has leaned hard into charging owners subscription fees for features, and into complex electronics that get expensive the moment the warranty runs out. A used luxury lot outside of Dallas will take one of these electric BMWs in on trade for pennies on the dollar, because they know exactly how far these things fall. The badge is prestigious. The math is a disaster. But before we get to the top 4, you need to understand something, because it ties this whole list together. The higher we climb, the less this is about a single bad model, and the more it is about entire brands losing their footing. These next 4 are not just cars that lose value, they are badges whose whole future is in question, and buying one now could leave you holding something the market has quietly decided it no longer wants. Number 4. Mercedes-Benz. The three-pointed star may be the most aspirational badge of all for a certain generation, the ultimate symbol that you made it. And its flagship electric car has become one of the worst value stories in the entire luxury world. The electric EQS, Mercedes' big electric flagship sedan, has been losing somewhere between 55 and 73% of its value over 5 years, among the steepest drops of any luxury car on the road. Think about that. You spend 6 figures on the most prestigious electric sedan Mercedes builds, and in 5 years most of that money is simply gone. Mercedes itself has been quietly walking back its electric plans because buyers stopped showing up, which tells you everything. When the company that built the car is backing away from the strategy, the person left holding that car is the one who pays for the retreat. A Mercedes shopper in suburban Atlanta chasing that star needs to know the star is falling, at least on the electric side. And here's how bad it has gotten. These flagship electric Mercedes sedans are now showing up on used lots at prices that would have been unthinkable a couple of years ago. 6-figure cars selling for less than half of what their first owners paid. And even at those fire sale prices, buyers are cautious because they know the depreciation is not finished. Now flip that around and feel it from the first owner's side. That first owner is the one who ate the entire drop. He paid full price for the prestige, and he handed the next guy a bargain by absorbing a loss the size of a nice car all by himself. On the electric side, being the proud first owner of a Mercedes has become one of the most expensive seats in the entire car market. Number 3. Jaguar. This is not a slow fade. This is a brand that walked to the edge of the cliff and jumped. Jaguar decided to reinvent itself, and in the process it stopped selling most of its cars, pulled its lineup, and launched a strange, widely mocked rebrand, all while its sales collapsed to almost nothing. Its electric car, the I-Pace, was discontinued and has been losing over 70% of its value in 5 years, more than $50,000 gone. And here's the truly damning part. Used Jaguar sedans just a few years old, with modest miles, have been selling for less than the cheapest, most basic new economy car you can buy. Read that again. A luxury Jaguar, worth less than a bottom-of-the-lineup EcoBox, when a 90-year-old luxury brand voluntarily stops selling cars and bets everything on a reinvention the public is openly laughing at. Anyone who buys in right now is gambling their money on whether the brand even survives. That is not a purchase. That is a bet, and the odds are ugly. And a Jaguar dealer in suburban Atlanta is caught in the middle of it, standing on a showroom floor that went from a proud lineup to almost nothing overnight, trying to sell loyal older customers on a reinvention he cannot fully explain and cannot promise will work. The people who trusted that brand for decades are the ones left most exposed, holding cars from a company that stopped acting like it wanted to sell cars at all. When the maker itself seems unsure whether it will still be building the same kind of vehicle in 3 years, the value of everything already out there quietly bleeds out, and the owner is the one who feels it on trade-in day. Number 2. Lucid. Now a warning about the shiny new luxury names, because prestige is not always old. Lucid builds genuinely impressive electric luxury sedans, technological marvels that reviewers rave about. But Lucid is a young company that has been burning through enormous amounts of cash while selling relatively few cars, the classic profile of a startup whose survival is not guaranteed. And its cars already show it, with the Lucid Air losing around half its value in just 3 years. Now combine those two things, a car that is already depreciating fast, from a company that may or may not be around to support it, service it, and supply parts for it down the road. For a retiree, that is the worst kind of risk, because if that company stumbles, you are not just underwater on the car. You could be stranded with an expensive orphan nobody can fix. We have already watched other electric luxury startups take deposits, build a little excitement, and then collapse, leaving their owners scrambling for parts and service and anybody to answer the phone. That is the shadow hanging over every young luxury EV brand right now. And the danger is that these cars are so genuinely impressive to drive that they make it easy to forget the question that actually matters, which is not how good the car is today, but whether the company will still be standing behind it in 5 years. A beautiful car from an uncertain company is a beautiful gamble, and your retirement savings are not the place for gambling. And that brings us to number 1, Maserati, the undisputed king of luxury depreciation, and a brand walking a financial tightrope right now. Maserati is the cautionary tale that every other brand on this list is only flirting with. Its cars are legendary for losing value. The Quattroporte, its flagship sedan, has lost as much as 83% of its value, turning a car that cost well over $100,000 into something worth a fraction of that. The Ghibli and the Levante have shed 60 to 80% as well, and they came with a reputation for expensive reliability troubles, suspension problems, electrical failures, brake and steering issues, the kind of repair bills that pile up on a car already worth almost nothing. And the brand itself is in serious trouble, with global sales that collapsed by more than half in a single recent year, down to just a few thousand cars worldwide, so few that its future has been openly questioned and its parent company has been exploring partnerships just to keep it alive. So you have the worst of everything in one badge: brutal depreciation, costly repairs, and a brand whose survival is genuinely uncertain. A Maserati dealer in the Scottsdale area will sell you a gorgeous car and a beautiful feeling. What he will not tell you is that it may be the fastest way to turn $100,000 of your savings into $20,000 on a badge that might not have a future. Number 1, and it is not close. So here's the real story sitting underneath all 10 of these, the thing the showroom and the shiny brochure will never tell you. A luxury badge and a good financial decision are two completely different things, and the brands have spent decades making sure you confuse the two. They sell you prestige, the feeling of arrival, the reward you told yourself you earned, and that feeling is real, and it is powerful, and it is exactly why it works. But prestige does not hold its value. Prestige does not answer the phone when the brand is circling the drain. Prestige does not cover an $80,000 loss or a repair bill on a car nobody will buy. The cruel truth is that the more a car leans on the badge and the feeling instead of proven, boring, dependable value, the faster your money tends to disappear into it. The whole game is to get you emotional enough that you stop doing the math. And the people most likely to get caught are not careless. They're the ones who worked hard, dreamed for decades about that badge, and finally have the savings to reach for it, right at the stage of life when they can least afford to be wrong. And that is who this really hurts. So let me say it plainly, because somebody needs to. It is the retiree who spent 40 years being sensible, driving practical cars, saving carefully, and finally decided to reward himself with the dream car at the end of the road. He is not foolish. He earned that reward. But the brands see that exact person coming, the loyal older buyer with a nest egg and a lifelong dream, and some of them are more than willing to trade him a badge for a big piece of that nest egg. He drives off feeling like he finally made it, and 2 or 3 years later, he discovers the car is worth a fraction of what he paid, from a brand that may not even be healthy, and there is no working paycheck coming to make up the difference. The feeling lasted a year. The financial hole lasts the rest of his retirement. That is the betrayal hiding under the leather and the chrome. So what do you actually do about all of this if you have earned the right to a nice car and you do not want it to gut your savings? A few things, and they are simple. First, and this is the big one, let someone else eat the depreciation. Buy the luxury car gently used, 2 or 3 years old, after that brutal first drop has already happened to somebody else, and you can get the same badge and the same leather for a fraction of the price, with your money protected. Second, before you buy any luxury brand, look up its resale value after 3 and 5 years, and look hard at whether the company itself is financially healthy, because a badge from a dying brand is a trap no matter how pretty it is. Third, be extremely cautious with expensive luxury electric cars and with brand new startup brands, because those are where the value is falling the fastest, and the future is the least certain. And if you truly want a brand new luxury car with the full warranty, favor the boring, proven, financially healthy names that have held their value for decades over the flashy badge that is stumbling. Because in retirement, a car that keeps most of its worth is quietly worth far more to you than a car that turns every head at the club. And fourth, remember the simplest truth of all. The car that quietly holds its value and never lets you down will do more for your retirement than the flashy badge that impresses the neighbors for 1 year and drains your account for the next 10. You are not being cheap by thinking this way. You are protecting the money you spent a lifetime earning. More of these prestige brands are going to stumble in the next couple of years, and the depreciation on the luxury electric cars especially is only going to get worse. Subscribe, and I will keep showing you exactly which badges are quietly draining people your age and which cars actually protect your money before one of them costs you a piece of the retirement you worked so hard for.